Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. These people, these influencers, man, they don't know when to quit. So I was actually taking a little break this weekend, otherwise I would have done this video sooner, but I didn't want to ruin my trip by, having to think of Tana Mongeau too much. I was in Bath. Thanks for asking. Basically, Tana Mongeau has been in yet another scandal. Every few months she's always doing something wrong. For someone who so consistently tells us that they're changing and growing as a person, they seem to be in trouble a bit too often. She's been called out for some rogue behaviour and she promised to do a video addressing the issue and taking accountability, but she promised to do that months ago and she didn't upload for about 3 months, and there was such a lull in, she hasn't been uploading content at all. There was such a lull on her channel. I was actually going to do a video where I was just going to do her apology for her, because at this point in time she's done about 100 apology videos, so I kind of knew what type of things she would say. I wanted to do it for her, but she had to upload whilst I was away this weekend, so I need to do this type of video instead of the funnier video that I had planned. But first, this video is sponsored by Vapor95. If you like aesthetic things, then Vapor95 is the shop for you. This, look at that, kanji and that famous tsunami thing. Aesthetic. Let me show you a few of the things that I got from this store. Followers of the Alizee channel know how much I love my outdated Simpson references, so what better to go along with them than this Mr. Sparkle top. And for the people who are super cultured on the Alizee channel, we have this Macintosh Plus shirt. This is for those days when I feel like being brave and not just wearing black Champion accessories. They also sell face masks. So these are reusable. You machine wash them. This is the, that thing, Michelangelo, because I'm very cultured. And there is this style of face mask. That face that Belle Delphine is always making. The hentai thing? Yeah. And I was wearing this for about a couple hours the other day, and I noticed I had a full face of makeup on, it didn't rub off nearly as much makeup as those, the normal blue face masks. So, yes, that was my mini Vapor95 haul. They've actually been so kind in giving me a special code. Use code Alizee, you get 15% off of your order at checkout. So check out the website, it'll be in the video description link box below. Thank you so much Vapor95 for sponsoring this video. But before we get into our apology video, I found a series of tweets on, where else, Twitter, from people claiming to have known her growing up. A lot of them could be fake, some of them could be real. I just thought it'd be interesting to go through them. Thread of people that are around Tana when she lived in Nevada, proving yet again how ignorant and disgusting she is. The fact that Tana Mongeau is still famous is crazy. That bitch bullied the fuck out of me for being gay and outed my ass before I even knew. To also add to it, she said the N-word from middle school until adulthood. She doesn't learn, she just covers shit up. She's literally awful. She told one of my Hispanic friends to go back over the wall where he came from. I think all of us are shocked that the biggest bully growing up became famous. She bullied others for making videos on Facebook. She would call some of us, not gonna say that, tried to fight girls over dudes for no reason. How much more attention does she need? Fade on sight. Bro, she was such a mean bitch, and anytime I try to tell someone, they don't believe me. Fuck that bitch. All she did was start shit and be pure evil to people. I used to go to youth group with her and they told her to stop coming because she was vulgar and rude. Everyone who knew her growing up knew what a spoiled and bratty girl she was. She bullied people and always cried to get her way. A prime example is when TanaCon happened, she was crying about how she never got birthday parties growing up. I attended her 7th birthday, there was a limo. I was in her 1st and 2nd grade classes, plus a lot of people I was friends with had her in their classes later too. I can tell you she was telling the truth about her calling her 1st grade teacher a bitch on the first day I was there. Not to mention that she always claims that she grew up in the ghetto. This girl went to Green Valley. Her neighbourhood was nowhere near the ghetto. I doubt she's ever even driven through a bad Vegas neighbourhood. Remember in Tana Turns 21 where they went past her old house and she was being like, ew, it's so ghetto, which, yeah, someone's living in that house right now and the house, it looks normal. I second this. She treated everyone around her like shit and still got a free pass every time. Please support people who actually use their platform for good. She's always been a piece of shit. She sided with her current friend, Ari, when he publicly humiliated me after I defended a friend of mine who he fat shamed / bullied on here. She ain't shit and never will be shit. She's just another ignorant ass influencer who doesn't care about people. I remember her always trying to say the N-word around me, and I just gave her several looks and she never got the point. 2020 me would have rocked her shit. I feel this heavy. She said my sister had autism. Another instance, she said she had Down syndrome. Clearly had no idea what it even mean, but I've been around special ed kids my whole life. She probably still says the R word. She was such a cunt back in high school. Lived next to her high school, so partied with her friends. But I was genuinely not surprised to see she got famous because the media was glorifying bad girls club behaviour everywhere. She is also friends with a sexual abuser who went to a private school in my town. They're best friends and smoke blunts together on Snapchat. Le meow. That's when I knew she was lame and when she scammed a bunch of 10-year-olds. Tana's from my city and I went to school with her briefly, and Amari was in the class too of mine. Everyone knew it wasn't appropriate to say or do shit like that because they thought it was they just thought it was funny because they were constantly seeing or getting attention. They knew it was wrong. And then there's this photo of her sticking her tongue out. The backside of a toothbrush is used to scrape your tongue because you can get illnesses and stuff if you don't look after your mouth. So anyway, she's been away from keyboard for 3 months. She uploads this video, a long overdue apology. It's 14 minutes long. On my trip, I got through about the first 3 minutes and I turned it off because I just got bored / annoyed. So that's what we're gonna do right now.
First and foremost, I want to apologize for how long this video has taken. There is no excuse, reason, or thing I could say to make that okay, and I want to take full accountability for that. I did nothing but look at apology videos as people digging up my past again. If I had spent the time I spent pandering, deflecting, making excuses, and spewing ignorance to millions of people becoming a better person, I would be in a far, far better place right now, and for that, I can only hold myself accountable. It is far past the time I needed to own up to my behavior and take 100% accountability for my actions.
It is far past the time I needed to own up to my behaviour and take 100% accountability. Those are not the words of Tana Mongeau. Those are the words of someone who has written out this script. Some legal team.
One thing I've learned over this time is the undeniable responsibility that goes hand in hand with a platform of this size. I am so sorry for ever thinking I could possess all that I have without acknowledging the extreme responsibility that comes with it. I had every single resource to change, and I am so sorry for choosing the wrong route every single time. I have so much work to do on myself to become a better person.
But she says this like every single apology video. I think that's why I couldn't get past more than 3 minutes of this before, because it's like, I swear I've heard this before about 10 times.
And I intend on showing you that with action, education, and time. I don't want to come back to this platform until I am someone that can shape the youth in far better ways than the things I watched growing up shaped me.
Half the problem is you've put yourself in this position of being a role model to people. Like, why are you doing that to yourself when you clearly aren't capable of being a positive role model? It seems like a bit of a self-fulfilling cycle to me. I've never called myself a role model because I'm not. I'm a fuck up, I'm a little bit of a bad person. That's okay, I'm working on it. I've never put myself in that position so then people can't get mad at me for it like later. Do you know what I mean? It just seems a bit like, why are you doing this?
The only goal I was taught that I actually internalized was that when I was in the wrong, I needed to make people like me again versus what I could do to become a person that people actually like. I see so clearly now the microaggressions and terrible values that I was enveloped in for 15 years of my life. I see so clearly now the problem with the things I grew up thinking were funny and the sense of humor I developed.
That's how you know it's scripted. Repetition. I see so clearly now. I see so clearly now. Because normally, in normal conversations, people don't really talk like that. I mean, I was just thinking to myself, is it such a bad thing that it's scripted? But yeah, I guess, because it's rather inauthentic.
I now realize that the content I put out into the world and who I am has the ability to aid in either positively or negatively shaping this generation. But
she thinks very highly of herself, doesn't it? The content that I put out is going to shape this generation. You know, when sometimes I do Taco Bell mukbangs or trying different Starbucks drinks, I am shaping the future generation. These people will sum up their own asses, even in their apology videos. Fuck me. I get it, she's a big public figure or has a sizable platform, but bit of perspective, you have 5 million followers, there's at least 330 million people in the USA alone. There's 7 billion people on Earth. You aren't influencing shit. On you know, the big picture.
And that is exactly how I should have apologized anytime anyone ever questioned my past. As I would grow in my career, I would claim to say that I understood the pain behind these words. I would claim to say that I knew how wrong it was to have said that at that time. But then every time I would apologize, it would be in a way that was so pandering and deflecting. It would discredit everything I had to say. And it's so sad that I was so fucking stupid and couldn't realize that.
She says so much, but she's not really saying anything at all. I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit by saying this, but if you're gonna do one of these videos, like an explanation, I mean, saying sorry a million times, being like, I'm so sorry for this, I'm so sorry for that, it just gets redundant. The word stops losing meaning when you're saying it every 2 seconds. If you're gonna do a video like this, I feel like if you're gonna do an explanation video to show people that you've actually grown, it needs to be longer than 4 minutes. It's no good just apologizing for, oh, yeah, one time I called that person fat or whatever, and I'm sorry for that. She's being super vague about what she's apologizing for. She's just talking about it in general terms, and I feel like to show growth you kind of have to go into it and understand, like, to show genuine introspection. And I don't believe she has any semblance of self-awareness enough to do this, to really introspect about why she did those things in the first place, or why she was so negative, or why XYZ. I feel like if you get into your own mindset you had at the time 2 years ago, whatever, and work out why you did those things, that shows that you are much more capable of growing, rather than just being like, yeah, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. A lot of the bad things that I've personally done in my life, because I've thought about it, why did I engage in these negative behaviours, I can tell you the reasoning from my point of view at the time. I can tell you the context surrounding it that led me to making poor choices, because I've sat and I've really, really thought about these things. But it takes a lot to be able to get to that stage. It takes a lot of self-psychoanalyzing and reading about psychology and like the psychology behind human behavior to work out, well, why did I do that really stupid thing 5 years ago? This sounds like she's reading off an autocue. It sounds like, she's had some legal team type it up for her. I'm jumping the gun here because we're only literally about 4 minutes into this video, but if you believe anything she says, you're either 12 years old, so it's fine, or you're a mug.
And then I would proceed to spend the next 3 years in such an unproductive cycle, wondering why these things kept getting brought up. But how could I expect anyone to forgive me in general if my apology wasn't even a sufficient apology? I selfishly decided time and time again I did not need education, and for that I am so sorry. Clearly, even based on my actions over the past few months, I have so much more growing to do, and I understand anyone who is fed up and tired, sick of it, and doesn't want to be around for that.
I got that bit in the fake apology that I was going to do for her. If you guys don't want to stick around, if you don't want to fuck with me anymore, then I understand that, I am with you. But if you do still want to fuck with me, then I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because she said this stuff time and time again. She's just being fake woke for a few minutes, so let's skip past that.
Like, how did I ever expect people to think that that wasn't who I was if I could never be fully accountable until this moment? Next, I want to address the Colin Berry and Simply Nessa situations. Once again, the amount of time this has taken is completely inexcusable, and I take full accountability for that.
She keeps saying it's inexcusable how much time it's taken to do this video. Do you know what she's been fucking doing for the past 3 months? She's just been partying every single day. And then when she got told off for like the Erica Costello thing, because I follow her on Instagram, she said on Instagram, I'm gonna self-quarantine for 2 weeks and I'm gonna take this seriously. And then she was getting her fucking hairdresser to go to her house to do her hair. That's not quarantining. Stop, like... But I think people would just respect it a bit more if you turned around and stopped pretending. Stop pretending to give a shit. Like that Jeffree Star apology video he did was almost brilliant in a way, because you could tell he didn't care. The hand act, I'm missing that. The hand act, it was wrong. Oh, it was so good. It was comedy. Him just sitting there being like, yeah, I've done some bad things, but hey, all the bad things that are going on in the world right now, let's think about that, then think about all my terrible... It was comedy genius. There's been a global pandemic, coronavirus, you might have heard of it. Yeah, some of you might be aware of it, you might have heard of a few of their tracks. Right, coronavirus has been happening. She's been partying all of the time. I watch her Instagram stories, it's just constant going out for dinner. She doesn't give a fuck. And, considering she did the Tana Turns 21 MTV... Well, it was just season 2, wasn't it? Where she has the chronic lung problem and she thought it was tuberculosis and she was being really overdramatic about it, and then dismissed it entirely when it turned out to be just asthma. And whilst exaggerating everything, as she's been known to do, she threw around things like, oh, you know, being at the hospital gives me such PTSD. And I dared to have the balls to be like, do you know what? Because this is a girl who outright lies and exaggerates every opportunity, I don't quite believe her when she says that she has PTSD. And some of you dared to be like to me, no, I believe that it could be the case because of my own personal subjective experience. And it's like, okay, but you're probably a person that's honest most of the time. We're talking about Tana Mongeau, who has shown them to be dishonest all of the time. So it's not your situation personally, as probably an honest person, isn't comparable to this girl who lies and exaggerates. And people dared to gripe with me over that because I don't believe that being at hospital gave her PTSD. I don't believe it when she throws those terms around. I'm just going to be big and brave right now. I don't believe anything that comes out of this girl's mouth. So, she has asthma. Why am I doing that? She has asthma. Technically, that makes her immunocompromised, meaning if she caught coronavirus, it would probably do some really bad damage to her because it's like a respiratory illness and she's got respiratory problems because of all the weed smoking and stuff. But she's been going out constantly, just that's what she's been doing for these 3 months. And I'm jumping the gun again, but I know that she put on Twitter afterwards that she was trying not to show emotion because she didn't want to cry and she's been feeling sad about this single day. And it's like, bitch, where have you been sad about this every single day? Because you update Instagram like literally on the hour every hour and you're always laughing at stuff that's not even funny. One of our friends had a beer and she was like, and she was laughing at that. You know that meme of like women laughing at salad? That's Tana Mongeau. I used to find her semi-entertaining. I don't know why I'm going on this long form rant. I used to find her quite entertaining and now it's just apparent that she's just so high all the time. She just laughs at literally anything. She was with some of her mates and she was like, the whole gang's here, ha ha ha. Where was I going with that? She made such a song and dance on the MTV show about how worried she was about her own health. Clearly that was all bollocks because she doesn't seem to care that she might potentially catch a potentially fatal disease, virus that's been going around because of a global pandemic. Don't believe anything she has to fucking say for herself. Alright, end of rant. I'm getting bored listening to her, so I was just scrolling through the comments and people are saying things like, this apology is so aggressive, I feel like she's gonna punch me. This was a 14-minute run-on sentence.
Can't even imagine how angry and in awe he must have felt working with me. And
how angry and in awe? Why would he be in awe of you? Oh my god, she's so oblivious. Do you mean in that way? Or did Jordan write this? Did none of you understand how words work?
Seeing me think this way, I chose every single time to take the narcissistic route, to denote that I was a good person and I simply wasn't racist, and that's just how things were. And looking back, that is so incredibly microaggressive. The way that I must have hurt him with my actions time and time again is so incredibly microaggressive, and that is not a person that I ever want to be. Even looking back and accepting that truth, that this person perceived my actions as microaggressively racist, makes me fucking sick because that is someone I never want to be.
It's very inauthentic, even when people are apologizing. Like, it's desperate if you're being really, using such big hyperbole, even if you're apologizing. Like, it is inauthentic. If she turns around and is like, you know, I feel like I'm the worst person in the world. Well, you're not. Someone called Hitler, that was a thing that happened. Not to minimize the atrocity of World War II. I mean, that thing that happened. But do you know what I mean? You're clearly not the worst person in the world. Not a great person, but not the worst person. So it's inauthentic to be like, you know, I'm just the biggest part of shit. Why am I bothering?
But in order to say that and have anyone ever believe me, or to even simply just grow.
Why does she keep talking about growing? You're not a plant.
It is about holding myself accountable. As a white person, if a person of color ever accuses you of microaggression, the right thing to do is apologize, because who am I to decide if I made that person feel that way? The fact that I ever thought I could decide that is fucking wrong. And who was I at that time to be writing off anyone as annoying or not a good person?
Yeah, Tana Mongeau writing off anyone else as annoying is
I was so uneducated and had no right to be shaping or in charge of anyone else, and for that I take full accountability.
Do you reckon she just learned the word accountability?
But when I look back at the values that I was instilled with and the way that I was brought up and the way that I then went to project that onto the world, it makes me so sick. When I think about a single one of my young fans growing up or acting in the ways that I did, it makes me sick. I am so sorry for thinking for so long that I never had to be a role model. I promise you, for the entirety of my career, I will take that into account with every single piece of content I choose to further make.
I mean, I don't think you should be a role model. Please don't put yourself in the position of being a role model. It's not something 2020 needs right now. Tana, you're never going to be a role model. That's okay. Like, maybe that's not what you're meant to do. You don't need to be a dick. You can be, like, normal, but you don't need to be a role model, because I don't think you should be. Just like how I shouldn't be a role model to anyone, because I'm just I was about to say washed up junkie. My brain thinks so many nasty things about myself. I'm just like an ex-druggie, you know? Like, shouldn't be a role model to anyone. I shouldn't have got myself in that position in the first place, you know?
I want to make a difference in a way that is positive and impactful, not performative and disruptive.
And it's just a bit of cognitive dissonance to be all, I'm gonna use my platform for good and blah blah, and still just be going out partying in the middle of a party. Like, it's different from country to country. Like in England, the lockdown eased about a month or so ago, you know, so it's kind of not business as normal, but it's getting there, right? But apparently in LA, it's really, really, really bad. All these TikTokers and people like Jake Paul have been having massive house parties. The mayor of LA had to get involved and specifically named Jake Paul. But look, I'm not preaching. At the end of the day, Tana, not that you watch this, Jordan, if you watch this, it's your health, you know, so if you want to risk your health by going out, potentially spreading an illness, that's on you. That's what I don't care. I've got my own problems to worry about. But it's just, there is cognitive dissonance in saying I want to use my platform for good and then every day doing things that directly conflict with that message you're trying to get across.
This is my last apology video ever.
That's not true, because apparently she might make some follow-up videos. Is she gonna make a documentary style Shane Dawson-esque feature redemption arc thing on herself? Because nobody wants to see that. No offense. Oh my, I need to stop that because I'm bored of it now. She's just saying kind of the same things over and over again, and all the words have completely lost their meaning. The amount of jump cuts in that as well was, every other sentence was a jump cut. It was very strange. Was it because she kept having to look to the side at her script? I'm big on redemption. I'm big on people being able to bring it back. There are only a few things in life that are irredeemable, but to truly change and try to better yourself as a person, it does take a deep level of introspection and understanding of yourself. It's no good saying, that was a bad thing I did. You have to understand what led you to making that choice in the first place to do that bad thing. And then it also takes being kind to yourself as well. Once you're past all of the self-reflecting, introspecting, understanding things you've done wrong, you have to learn to be kind to yourself and forgive yourself, but that's a bit later on down the line. I'm not there yet. I tell everyone else to be kind to themselves, but me, nah, I'm a dickhead. The thing with Tana is I'm sure in 6 months' time we'll get another apology for something that was very preventable. Probably in 6 months' time we'll get a video apologising for spreading a global virus. A big thank you to Vapor95 for sponsoring today's video. If you want to pick up a shirt or a little face mask like I have, then go over to the website, use code Alizee for 15% off your order. Brilliant. The links are in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, do remember to like, comment, subscribe. I make new videos whenever I feel like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!